Welcome to Gunpla Reviews, where it's myself versus my shelf. Around 200 model kits and a queue of reviews to do. Today's challenger is the most complicated challenger. The MSZ-010 Double Zeta Gundam from the year of our Bandai Lords, 2010. This manual, unlike most high-grade manuals that is actually a booklet. And of course, you start with your manuals, or rather your runners, and all your warnings and notifications, and you start build with the core fighter. Very unusual. Not too many kits come with a core fighter, but this one actually utilizes it. Then we get into the torso. We'll start moving into the arms, and then the feet, over to the rest of the leg here. And we take a brief pause for our centerfold. Talks about the mobile suit itself, the hyper beam saber, the missiles, the double beam launcher, the core fighter itself, as well as the G-Fortress mode. And then here's some CG rendered action shots and more in the Double Zeta and Zeta production, well, not production line, but product line. Soon. Back to construction, we finish up the waist and then general assembly, followed by the backpack. And then how to equip the hyper beam saber. We get the double beam launcher over here, and then how to put that in the hand. And then we get into transformation, taking pieces off, putting pieces around, rotations, and then shifting leg pieces, many leg pieces. And then using the additional base, or I use air quotes base, as a mount for both extra pieces and action base. So, let's get into the important parts first. We have, unto here, the high-grade Double Zeta Gundam. At the head, we get this much left, and this much right, and I think I just now popped it off of its joint, but it's not a very strong joint either. Like, I'm pushing it down, but it doesn't seem like it really clicks into place. So I'm going to bring this up close and further investigate. And it really is just that kind of loose. And then I need to put a piece back into its head. There we go. So the headpiece is going to be loose, and it just literally barely fits on there. If you don't like that, you might want to try actually thickening up the joint up here, because it really sits super loose. You cannot get the Exorcist head turn out of it because the V-fin will collide with the back. Over here at the arms, we will get a lot of stuff in the way. You have these shield plates here, but then you get this much raise upward. You get some back and forth shoulder action, but then when it comes to rotating, it's very complicated, because in order to get the arm correctly out forward, you have to shuffle this shoulder piece off to the side. I mean, you can turn it as you like if you need to, but it's very much in the way. So, allergies notwithstanding, a universal issue that seems to plague every variant of the Double Zeta, and I think I'm gonna pop that piece off and let that fall into the void for a few minutes. Over here at the arm, you get regular bicep turn, but instinctively, due to the construction of the kit, you also get like turn at the elbow. Let me see if I can't get in there correctly. And you see that as you turn it, it also wants to turn at the elbow itself because of the way it's constructed. And that same problem carries over into the, what's it called, the Tryon 3 and all of its various color schemes. You get a little bit of 90-degree elbow bend, followed by the usual ball and socket fist. It doesn't come with open hands. Oh look, I've already knocked the head out. It comes with one completely closed fist, and then one open hand, but we'll get into that later. His range of motion is quite limited. Over here you have these shield plates, which one side will go so far and sit flat. The larger side will fold all the way back. And this at least frees up some of your arm motion. More like Musha. At the waist, you have absolutely very little turn whatsoever. These side skirts, I don't recall if they're segmented or not. At least mine are. So there's that much. Let me T-pose this boy for a moment. That way the arms are out of the way. You have side skirts over here, which are on their own hinge, so they very much bend upward. And they have quite a bit of rotation, as well as an extra little bit right here. Very nice. Skirts out of the way. The legs, because they're on that classic, ball and socket joint, they do not go out very far. These are your splits. Your front kick goes so high, and you get no back kick because of the backpack. Here at the knee, we are double jointed, so you get the full 90 degrees. A little bit of extra motion in this piece here. And then lastly, down at the foot, you get all this back and forth, a little bit of side to side. Yeah, I think I cut the side skirts here on my own. Over here in the back, let's take a look at the backpack here. You've got wings that'll move here. These thrusters are static. You can rotate the connections for the handles for the hyper beam saber, and then you have two hinges up here to expose your missile launchers. Very good, very good. He's very much limited in upper torso, but that's because he comes with a hefty amount of transformation. We're going to go ahead and place him back in position and put this back in place. Fold this back in and discuss the accessories. As mentioned before, he comes with the open hand, which has a peg in it slotted exclusively. Uh-oh, I didn't grab that whole beam saber handle. You're stuck in there, sir. Please stop being stuck in there. I need you leaving this in. There we go. There's your beam saber handle. Fits right into the hand because the hand does not encase the entire beam saber. Of course, it comes with two beam saber effect parts. I don't know if these are the exact ones. I have a bin full of beam sabers, but goes in and pops in the hand like so. Also comes with the double beam launcher with its own trigger hand, which is currently in place. As is tradition, a simple plug and play. However, this is where your posing and all the largeness of the kit get in the way, because it becomes very difficult for him to really hold and pose with the gun in a way that doesn't look doofy. Like, even I don't like this right here. I prefer to have my arm fully extended with the rifle. So you have to rotate the shoulder piece out of the way. Hope that your shield pieces are out of the way as well. And then play around with hoping that pieces don't fall off in the middle of your review. So let's fix that real quick. The gun does have a slot that goes into the handpiece here, so at least it is secure despite when the rest of the hand pops off. Come on. Here we go, Mr. Fumble Hands. Because I have to work through the viewfinder and it doesn't feel natural. So, back there. But even so, the gun is very heavy. The arm can hold it. It's the hand that kind of dips a little bit. But as you can see, it's still very weighty, very heavy. The gun does have some articulation with the camera lens and where exactly the beams are, but I think that's all integrated with part of the transformation. Already completely, the entirety of the arm fell down. So, if you're, I guess, crafty enough, you can use the shoulder plates at the top to more or less pin it in place. You can rotate your shoulder part and then block the top so that it is more or less locked in place. You have alternatives and solutions, but it should be able to carry its own weight without having to work around it. So, we are going to proceed. It comes with a core lander. Core lander has no actual articulation going on. It is a solid piece with separating parts, which all also work into the transformation. We're going to, as you see me do this in the top corner of your screen, squeeze those into a place that we will need later. Comes with an alternate chest piece that is also used for the transformation. And as mentioned before, there is a sort of storage base. This is where all of your extra pieces can be stored. Here's thrusters that go with the G-Fortress mode, as well as a plug for the waist down here in the crotch, or perhaps it is a plug for the back part. I'm not entirely sure where that goes yet. We will go to transformation in a sort of quiet, sped up sort of situation. But once complete, you'll be able to set your machine on top of here, and one way or the other, either this hole here or this brick here, you'll mount your G-Fortress on top of that, on top of your action base, which we will show when we get there. So, replacing, excuse me, I said replacing. I think I might need to glue that piece in there. That's going to be frustrating. Replacing our beam saber, and then withdrawing our gun, as well as taking the hand off. We are going to go into fast forward and transformation and get into the G-Fortress mode. So here we have the G-Fortress all combined. There are states where you will and won't use the core fighter, so I tend to keep that well off to the side. This piece in here came from the backpack, which adjoins the backpack to the main body, and the red piece that you saw does the same, adjoining the, let's show you. In here, this piece adjoins the backpack to the waist unit when it is in this form. All of your extra pieces, which are shoulder joint pieces, leg flaps that extend we'll call them bell bottoms, and a waist kind of backpack unit that helps line up the backpack, all fit on this base, except sometimes one of these shoulder pieces doesn't want to stay in. All of your hands will be off to the side, as well as both of your feet and the entirety of the head. There's no place for those to go, and they don't even fit anywhere onto here for later storage, unless you kind of like force a spot. Let us try, see if, no, and look, that piece, this one of the shoulder joints fell out. So I tend not to keep this one or the Tryon variants in its mobile armor form because, well, I already have plenty of extra parts on the side, and having one extra part on the side as opposed to all the extra parts on the side feels better. This goes in its own separate place. But we here at ZEON say prototype it. This is definitely a big, large kit, and it's bulky, and its transformation's a bit complicated, but if you're a fan of how big and large the Double Zeta is, of course get in there. It is the basis for the Tryon 3, so that's definitely a step forward, but it's still, it is a parts former, but it's a better parts former than other machines because you at least don't have an entire body swap. You have a place to put all your extra joint pieces, mostly. Everything is contained therein, as opposed to things like the Zeta, the Amazon Gundam, where you have to swap out entire core body piece. But it could use a more modern iteration, and by word of, memory, or that doesn't even make sense, by word of memory, that's stupid. From what I'm aware of, the Verka does a lot of really good work, even keeping in the transformation gimmick therein. And of course we have the full armor Double Zeta coming soon. It would be nice to get a modern high grade of this, but don't count on it. It's probably not gonna, it was never even considered for the All Gundam project. We have multiple Zetas, but Double Zeta left in the scrapyard where he works. So once again, prototyping. But I thank y'all for watching. And as always, SIEG ZEON.